Hello there, it's Mike.
And Katie.
And it's episode 156. What are we talking about, Katie?
Today it's all about musicals and more.
This week on Cup of Rad. Yar! We be back, and guess what? We've become island-dwelling pirates. That is right. Over this last week, there has been atmospheric rivers. I've never heard that term before, but till now. But now, we be pirates.
Apparently that's going to be part of our normal life now.
Yeah. So
where's our rum? Why is the rum gone?
Because we don't drink rum. We drink tequila, and we don't have that anymore either. So our area, the Fraser Valley, this is like a news portion of the podcast. You never expect this to happen. This is like a because it'll be like a time capsule thing. You can go back and like we were hit with so much rain in our area in one 24-hour period. It equaled that of what we should have gotten in a month's time.
Yeah. So
that, unfortunately, has caused there to be landslides, mudslides, and flooding. So currently our town has limited access. It has now been over a week. So this is like aftermath, the after report.
Yeah, our town itself has only some outlying flood damage. Any of our road closures was caused more by debris falling down.
Yeah.
The town next door is the one that has all the flood damage.
But that's cut the access off to where we live.
Yeah, so now we had a few days where we had no access to the town.
Yeah.
The mudslides have been cleaned to allow at least single lane traffic to various places, but it's deemed limited for essential traffic only. So like work, medical, transportation of goods, those types of things. But like we can't go shopping in another town or anything like that, or social.
Yeah,
Nor do I want to, because it's really far out of the way as well. Because our main route is still...
Yeah, the main route's still closed. The highway one's still closed going westbound.
And it's going to likely be a few weeks until that's open.
Yeah, which is pretty wild to think, which is definitely going to be a strange fit for the holiday season. Because everything will have to be purchased within town. Luckily, they're seeming to be able to get some movement. So supplies have started coming. Because when it first hit, too, people panic bought and...
Grocery stores were emptied within 24 hours.
Gas stations were emptying out. So things are starting to trickle in slowly, which is good. But it's still kind of pretty crazy. So I was actually off. Schools were closed for an entire week. And you would think I would have done more.
You would have think.
It became fall break.
Uh-huh.
And
I'm not bitter.
We literally
played Minecraft.
Kiddo showed me how to play Minecraft. Because you know what, honestly, it was a learning moment for my educational purposes for school.
Bullshit.
Because I've never played Minecraft. So a lot of the kids actually play Minecraft at school on a regular basis. They even use Minecraft in their technology course.
Which is why Kiddo got into it to begin with.
So this is why now it was a teaching moment. I was technically working while I was playing Minecraft with Kiddo for research purposes.
Smooth. This is impressive.
So
I mean, I kind of understand.
So I understand how it works in some degree now. I could actually use it if I was ever to play it with.
Like mind numbing when he talks to you about it?
Yeah. Well, that depends. But I can actually use it now for school purposes if I needed to. So I think I could be able to, make sure I get paid for this week because I was, learning to count blocks.
Yes. Yeah. It threw me off though, having them off. Like I have to it's difficult to get to work in the summer. This was unexpected. I was off for one day because it was still storming on the first day of the week. And basically the city told us to not travel unless you absolutely had to.
Yeah.
So because it was still raining, roads were still possibly flooded, just low bits. It was, okay, we're staying home and just hunkering down. But luckily we didn't have really any substantial rain the rest of the week. The problem is this coming week, there is a decent amount of rain. Nothing like the flood rain that we had. But they've luckily been able to make a lot of changes, move forward the water and open some floodgates and
fix some dikes. So,
but it's going to be terrifying, the amount of damage. Some of the highways up in the interior of the province are completely destroyed. It's going to be months and months and months before.
I think they said that it was going to be, they can clear it off for limited use and like patchwork, but like actual repairs won't be able to happen until the spring.
Well, and I don't need the ones that there's full bridges missing.
Yeah.
Like, and it's a road that is already treacherous. It's, going into winter.
Yeah. Well, because and highway to hell or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not like there's mudslides where you hit part of the road's cracked and we have to go down a single lane. I mean, the one bridge is completely gone there. It's impassable. So, plus you're building on something that had just got eroded away from a river. So you have to build up that land again. And in this weather, it's just not going to happen, right? So,
and going west into Vancouver, the whole area that was flooded, that filled up for our drive down the highway that way, it used to be a lake, and
about 100 years ago.
Yeah. And we as smart individuals decided to tame that nature and turn it into farming land by using pump stations to pump it out, which we continue to still pump out to this day.
We found out that it pumps water every day.
Yeah.
And it just, there's up to 4 pumps, and like just regular every day is 1 pump. But they've been doing the full 4 pumps. That almost got breached, would have been absolutely catastrophic.
That would have brought the lake back.
But they said we wouldn't have been able to recover from that.
Yeah.
Like it was it's terrifying to see what a precipice we live on the how we control our worlds, right?
So that was the
that's been what we've been dealing with.
So
it's a little bit of like the what next, because we've had so this year, on top of the existing COVID emergencies, we have had massive, incredible heat waves. The interior of the province had horrific fire damage. We recently, a few weeks ago, even had a tornado show up in Vancouver, and now we've had flooding as well. So that's it's been intense.
Pretty wild. So
this was a Pineapple Express atmospheric river. So basically what I found out about it was it's the way that an atmospheric river in general is bringing moisture from the tropics up to the poles. So it moves stuff around.
Yeah.
And the issue, of course, when it gets onto land is how quickly it can drop it. It's a very small, narrow, that's why it's called a river. It's a small, narrow band of heavily moist clouds. Yeah. And that's why it's so intense, and it lasts, anywhere from 24 to 48 hours of just dumping water.
Yeah, and it was insane, the water that was coming down.
It's steady. Like hurricane level rain. Yeah. Which is why there was a flooding, right?
Yeah. So we experienced that. That's been our last week. We've been waiting to find out. And we're still kind of cut off from the main portion, but we were able to still go get food and things like that, which was nice. So we're not in dire straits.
We were a little afraid actually that there would be worse, but because they were able to get some of those filled up, and I think
like weird things were sold out too. Like there was some stuff you'd be like, okay, that makes sense, but like there was some areas where like there was like actual food on the shelves, but like some like all one brand of chips was sold out.
Well, you know what was strange?
Or flour.
When COVID hit, there was weird panic buying for things like the toilet paper runs.
I don't know if we got toilet paper back though. I think that's still sold out.
Right. So toilet paper, but then like a lot of the canned goods, I remember that was more difficult to get. But never was produce all gone.
Yeah.
And we went in because we didn't panic buy, but we did buy earlier than we would have
weeks extra
for
food.
Our normal groceries.
Yeah.
And I'm glad we did a few of the things because like we got the last almond milk that was at the store, and we wanted enough to allow us for when they would be able to start restocking the shelves. So we bought the bare minimums of a few things to keep us going. But by the time we got there, I mean, it's been 12 hours since we really started having that run. The produce section was completely empty. Yeah. It was the weirdest thing to see.
All the canned veggies and all the frozen veggies were gone too.
Yeah. So that was
people learned from COVID,
right? We're like, okay, we gotta watch, we gotta have our produce as well, right? So that was
because they all got scurvy.
Yeah. But we're doing okay.
Yep.
Hopefully the weather is.
Now the only thing is I need to find flour because I was supposed to actually this weekend start some Christmas baking because we're going to put up our Christmas decorations this weekend coming up here.
Yeah, we have.
And I don't have any more flour. I'm out of flour. So.
You know what we were supposed to do?
What?
We were supposed to go by one of the stores and one of the stores and see if they had flour today. I totally forgot about that. But then we had other.
Well, we had something else hit the Cub of Rat house that was no bueno. We decided to finally go back to the gym, and as we were driving home,
and it was a super great workout. Everything was feeling awesome. We were doing good.
And I was like, wow, it smells kind of weird. Like it smells like something's burning.
The car.
And then all of a sudden my power steering went out on a corner and I had to reef it over to the side of the road, which was pretty treacherous actually.
Well, because I looked over and I was like, dude, Mike, the temperature gauge is almost up to red.
Yeah. Well, I couldn't, I was having to turn it. Like I was having to figure out a place to put it. So, so currently Cub of Rat is down to one vehicle because our van is no more. So our camping is gone at the moment. Luckily we're going into winter, so it don't matter. Yeah. But yeah, so we lost our van today. So we'd like to have a moment of silence, pour one out for the van homie, because the van is what took us to all those magical places for some of those photos, because that's where it got us. So starting now, a moment of silence for the old van. That's probably good. It wasn't that near and dear to my heart. Well, it had a lot of memories. It took us to Disneyland a lot. So
it did.
I was trying to remind Katie that, it had a shit ton of miles on it.
It was 15 years old.
There. Yeah, it was 15 years old.
It was very well damaged on the outside from my grandfather's previous use of it.
Yeah.
I needed the brakes done. There was a lot of things that were wrong. I'm not going to miss the vehicle. If I had had a choice, I would have replaced it. Now, the idea of being pushed into replacing a vehicle and suddenly not having one is never a fun experience, but I'm trying really hard to look at the positives of it. We are lucky enough that Mike can walk to work.
Mm-hmm. I could have gone to work even if there was a flood. Like literally, I'm that close. So.
Yeah, so we're very lucky like that. It's just shocking to have had that happen. So.
Especially when there's 3 people in the house.
And the problem is, we can't go anywhere as a family now because we have a 2-person.
Yeah, the smart car only holds 2 people. And when you go grocery shopping in the smart car, you're by yourself.
Yeah.
You can fit a lot in it when you're by yourself. Yeah. So that'll change a lot going forward and be very interesting. I know Katie's going to love doing all the grocery shopping because...
Excuse me?
Yeah, because you've got the car now. I don't. So peace out, homie.
Pickup service it is. So that is the wonderful... positive news from the Cub of Rat household.
Yeah, there was a lot of doom and gloom this week, especially between the vehicle losing, because I ended up canceling a lot of pre-orders because I was trying to be responsible as an adult, and that came before the vehicle blew up. So hopefully...
Christmas plans have changed, that's all sorts of other things too, right? So.
Yeah. So, we had to think completely different because we don't know if and when the valley will be open enough for us to travel. We should be able to get mail, but because that would be something that's essential, right? In some forms.
Grocery shopping is essential. We cannot buy those food here.
Yeah, but I don't know if we can get down there.
In the smart car.
Yeah, it's all going to depend on how clear the highway is because we actually saw...
Because also... It's not perfectly, and
it's not even drained yet, and then they got to clean it, and then they have to Well,
I was just reading some social media posts. It's interesting to see the different people. Either it's going to be open a few days. 2, it's going to be open in January. That was the range. Of people responding. But in the reality, it's probably somewhere in the middle because of we have to wait for all that water to recede, but then they have to look at clear the road, but they also have to inspect the road. If there's damage to it, the water, if the ground around it's been saturated, you're not going to be able to. Right? Yeah, I mean, in some of those places, it was up to the overpass. So there's
15 to 30 feet of water, right?
And it's just there's a lot to deal with. So we're gonna just have to wait and see and go from there. If I so help me lose out on a Christmas party this year, I had a Christmas party planned. More importantly, I had my hair appointment planned.
I wanted some plant-based bacon for Christmas.
I know. Christmas will be very different.
So apparently someone needs to create a drone service that does delivery.
Please.
So that would be good. But anyways, I guess you don't want to hear us whine about our not being able to leave and blah, blah, our overprivileged lives.
I know.
There's so many other things that could be going on that's worse. We lucked out. It was just that weird karma of like, we lucked out unscathed and then our van blew up. It was like the world.
Something had to happen.
The world was like, well, you didn't flood out, so let's give you something else to think about. But my hope is that we'll be able to figure things out and save up and get more of an SUV vehicle that'll be able to help us more for camping and be able to use it more like a 4-wheel.
Yeah.
Because that was one thing that did suck with the van. It wasn't the best for some of the campsites, right?
Yeah.
So
there's that.
There's that. So we did do something though this weekend that was joyous and fun and exciting. We wrapped up the 2000 and something, the 2K series of He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. That's right. We finished volume 3. And we're going to give you a quick recap on our thoughts of our rewatch, because especially volume 3 had episodes that we hadn't seen actually.
Yeah. A lot of it I don't remember. Which
was pretty surprising because I thought we'd seen most of it because it was our jam. But
I think we saw the first bit with the Snake Man.
The first
little arc, and then it was like, because it kind of almost felt a little done.
Yeah.
And I think the TV station was just like, dropped it. You don't need to see the rest of it. Like, yeah, whatever. So,
He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, the 2K series, go.
One
thing that we noticed, I'm trying to remember everything's a bit of a blur now after what happened today.
I know.
Damn.
I know Kiddo really enjoyed it.
He really liked it.
He really liked it. I think this last season was it didn't hit him as hard. Like, he liked the first 2 seasons better than the third one.
Well, the theme song change of the opening credits really bothered him.
Well, and he didn't like the overdone kind of. There was some more corniness about it because his transformation was very over the top.
Yeah, it got bigger.
There was it got a little bit more grander, and I think he didn't appreciate that. And even for myself, like we had seen the opening credits of all the Snake Men fighting in this giant battle, and then you realize that it was kind of a spoiler for the very last episode.
Yeah.
And it kind of took a little bit of the gusto out of that last
because of the giant serpent that King Harris was riding.
You're like, oh, it's that guy that we've been seeing for
12 episodes.
Yeah. Yeah. So...
I think it was a really good reboot though. Like,
I like the first, like, I'm still really happy with it.
But it was weird how a lot of the Masters just ended up disappearing, especially in the final 3 episodes when Fisto shows up.
Fisto showed up with his giant fist.
Yeah. The largest right hand in the land.
Yep.
Like, he's proud of that fact, like, more than he should be.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of whacking in the bushes. That's where he's been.
After picking holes?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
We were having fun, and the kid was like, you started laughing. We're like, nope. Well, so when the giant serpent showed up, there was 3 holes in the ground that it came out of.
Yeah.
I don't know. There was 3 holes.
Where did it go?
I got lost after we said this, and then I just couldn't.
There's something about where did they go and something, and then Fisto's like, just pick a hole. And I was like,
you went where our mind went.
As he strokes his giant right fist.
It was just terrible.
He was just terrible. Like, which one this one's going
this is the level of where our minds were by the end of the series. So I think it was starting to lose its like luster after a while.
I was excited for Hordak, and then it just never really went anywhere.
So we've decided Eva Lynn is definitely probably the worst villain out of everyone.
The baddest bitch in the West.
Yeah. So, because she's just plays whatever side gets her ahead.
Yeah.
And she's just very much willing to do whatever.
Throw everybody under the bus.
Yeah.
Which is pretty wild.
She definitely looks out for her and her alone.
Yeah.
In all reality.
But like at the same time, like, what is her end game? Like, because she never seems to want to get ahead. She just wants to
be next to the most powerful person.
Yeah. Which is weird. Like,
but at some point, will she just stop finding something powerful? It's not like she wants to be the ruler of something. It's strange.
Sneak.
Yeah.
One thing we did notice, and I had it there for a moment, and then I lost it because we kept talking about Eva Lynn. was the the thing we laughed about. King Hiss reminded me of Lord Zed.
Oh, yes.
Right? And especially at the end when he had his giant, like, 3-headed serpent god that he was riding, reminding me of Lord Zed's serpent Zord from Power Rangers, because it just threw everybody else on the bus and just was like, whatever. Now King Hiss is the big bad guy, and
then the Skeletor just disappeared.
Yeah,
it was like he's just over there.
Like, where was he when Snake Mountain came alive,
right,
and took off,
right?
We don't.
Well, because there was a little bit of rumbling, and he basically said, "Whoever is doing this, like, I'm gonna gut you."
Yeah,
and then that was it.
Yeah.
They were like somehow peacefully coexisting. Even though the Snake Men were trying to take over everything.
Yeah.
Like, it was strange. Like, it would have made more sense if Skeletor had died and then the Snake Men had showed up. Or if he was in prison or something, and that's how everything happened. But, like, why did all of his minions just stop trying to do anything? Yeah. Like, they could have ransacked the castle while all the masters were busy fighting. Or maybe that's why they were doing that and Fisto was taking care of everyone else. I don't know.
He was taking care of everyone else.
Wow. See, you can't say it with a straight face.
I know I'm making fun of it, and it makes it more fun to make fun of it because I know Justin's Prime loves the big fist.
And Fisto. That's just even better.
And so I'm probably...
Why do you love the big fist?
Like, I'm giving him a hard time because of it.
Yeah.
Because I've never had an affinity for that character, and I remember...
I'm curious. I would like to know why, because, like, he wasn't... I didn't have any particular affinity to him as a character. Not trying to mock him as for his fist issues, but, like, the...
his fist issues?
Fist issues. But, like, I don't know, the rivalry between him and Duncan, like, it just kind of went on a little bit. There was just a lot of other little things that just went on and on.
Yeah.
You know, in general with the Snake Men for things. There was just... They were a little too much blurred together of it. And I was starting to get irritated with the sorceress. And
she was poisoned, dude.
Oh my God.
For the entire season.
Yeah, I know. She should do something to figure that out. Just heal herself better. Where's the medicine man of the town? Like, whatever. She kept using that as an excuse to only, like, half know answers and be late telling things. Like,
you should know. Sounds familiar.
She is a true woman. Why didn't you figure this out earlier? Like, I got really irritated with it. Like, when he was having to stop Hordak, it wasn't like, there was no explanation further as to what was going on with, try to help He-Man along. It was just like, I sense evil. Well, just automatically be his. Well, she should have known these things. Like, why can't you just speak up? Like,
you should know.
I got really irritated with her.
Can't you see my face? You should know what I'm thinking.
I know.
Right?
I don't know. I can't understand how someone could possibly feel that way. And make someone,
have to figure it out.
I mean,
so you can tell though that they didn't even know they were getting canceled, which is really even more depressing, because it even ended with the moral, and it was just like, it even says see you next time.
Until next time, it says.
Yeah.
Until next time, 20 years from now. I mean,
right. But that's the thing, is like, that's the sad part. Like, that's the thing that sucks.
Oh, you know what we also noticed? The time inconsistencies of their timeline with King Grayskull.
That's
yeah. And because you have the back lesson learning about King Grayskull and where all the power of He-Man came from. You learn about the sorceress. You learn about the people, the magic people. The magic people.
Yeah, what the elders?
The elders.
The magic man.
That he turned into ghost people. They were all like regular humans until he decided to ghost them. And imbue them with power. Imbue them. I was trying to be all fancy. But then it doesn't make sense with Hordak and the Snake Men and fighting, because King Grayskull dies at the end of all of that when the elders were there. So then were they elders before they were magically glowing people?
Because, the elders are what encased the snake god in Snake Mountain.
Yeah.
But King Grayskull fought the Snake Man, but he also fought Hordak.
And Hiss knows that Hordak was gone and vanished.
But Hordak and King Hiss fought as well. They said. So there was a lot that didn't really make sense. But then there's that realization that Eternia has a lot of evil shit on it. So then you wonder about, like, is Grayskull's people, like, in, like, King Randor and all them, like, are they actually the original, like, are they descendants of inhabitants that were they? Or were these colonizers that came to a very inhospitable planet with snake men and demon-looking dudes and got in the middle of it?
Yeah, everything seems to be evil. There's evil amulets. There's evil animals.
Fish people. There's evil
like
crabs.
So many terrible things happening there. And yet very little, quote-unquote good heroes and whatnot.
Yeah.
And they're constantly have to push back the tide of this.
Like even the ones that are more
where was the positive artifacts and
the like the bee people and the Stratoses, the avians, right? Like they fought the whiplash looking dudes and then the bat dudes, like everyone's fighting. Like the entire planet just fights each other.
Yeah.
And then the colonizers come in and they're like, "Hey guys, let's have peace."
Yeah.
So there's something there.
I'm changing a little bit, like not so much of like sympathy for King Hiss because he's obviously evil, but it just really feels like he was supposed to rule the planet
with his giant snake god.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. That's just where
justice for King Hiss. Justice for King Hiss.
Who, by the way, I mean, his death was pretty amazing. That Zodak convinced him to cut his own head off.
Yeah, that was pretty brutal, though.
Like, damn.
That was pretty brutal.
Way to take the back seat on that one, right. Zodak. You didn't actually have to pull the trigger on it. You just made him hurt himself.
Hypnotize
himself. Then the way they show that he did it, they just fly in and chuck his body at his soldiers and be like, psh.
Yeah, that was pretty brutal for a kid's cartoon.
Yeah. Well, even Kiddo was like, oh God.
Hey-Man just drops his body and it's just like...
Yeah, it was pretty intense there. So, yeah. It was interesting. It was nice to be able to see it all and realize that, yes, it really does. It kind of wraps up, but doesn't at the same time.
Not at all.
But I thought it ended more abruptly than it did. I don't really know what they would have gone to from there. It doesn't
end abruptly because literally like the castle's on fire still.
Oh yeah, you're right. They're
still all in their battle garb, their snake armor. There.
Evelyn is like pissed
still trying to get Hordak out of like it literally it was missing the fourth season.
Yeah.
Or whatever amount. Like
I like their battle that He-Man and the Snake Man had on the floating rockbergs in the lava, and because that made sense. To be running around on that and jumping and going down waterfalls without falling off of said rocks. Like, they don't have Jedi powers.
We're dealing with snake people and a man that calls down lightning that turns him into a muscle man. That also then is able to reflect that light to turn his cat huge and like powerful. So
every time I question anything about this, he's like, remember what we're watching.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay.
There's certain rules that just don't apply anymore.
Yeah. Okay.
But all in all, I really enjoyed it.
Kiddo got a big kick out of it.
Yeah. I think it would be cool to see if someone could actually, seeing as we're in that time frame where a lot of companies are revitalizing franchises and stuff, like, give this 10 episode arc to kind of wrap it up, right? Because they were all building up to Hordak coming back.
Yeah.
And the showdown was going to probably be more of Hordak versus Skeletor.
Yeah, because it would have been Hordak was the one who saved Skeletor and gave him his skull face, saved him from the acid.
Yeah.
So Skeletor was no interest in bringing him back because he didn't want to be
a minion
to anyone.
Yeah.
And yet, he also doesn't want to have his gift taken away. So that
his gift taken away is death.
But that's why Evelyn was like, oh wait, Skeletor doesn't want him back, so he must be scared of him, which means he should be bigger and better. So
so there's a whole arc there that needs to happen, right?
That was fun to be able to see Evelyn with her helmet off in this one. We hadn't seen that before. It was more of a new thing in Revelations, and to see that she started doing that in this, and it was just all magical. It wasn't actually placed an actual helmet. It was more. She actually had nanobites, like
probably. It's not magic. It's all technology, right?
So,
but yeah, the 2K stuff, it was really good. I really like the design still. Like, I would be interested if the Mastersverse would revisit those figures, because I do enjoy those designs more than
he owned the original them all before, but we had to get rid of them, unfortunately. So
I would like them though, because they would have articulation now and not weird action features.
That is true.
Beastman had a button on his back that made the whoop-ah, right? So there's nice to get rid of action features and just have articulation.
Yeah, exactly. So, no, I really do like the designs of them.
Yeah,
I did. I thought they were really cool. So
if you can find it, definitely check it out. If you haven't, it was a good rewatch, even though we give it some shit at the end here.
I really enjoyed the first couple seasons, and it is fun with Kiddo. It does have the little lessons at the end, and
the lessons at the end are fantastic, and more people should watch that.
They're good ones even to be as reminded of as adults. A few of them were kind of like, well, that was a weird stretch. A couple of them didn't quite make sense.
Yeah.
But for the most part, the little lessons, like more shows should still have lessons. Like, this is why the world is burning.
Yeah.
We don't have Sesame Street.
Well, we turned this off, and it was like something about my butt going psycho, and like talking about wiping with teepee.
It made my head explode.
Throwing it and all that, and it was just like, well, go from a show that's like, make sure to always talk things through.
Yeah.
Because sometimes there's different sides to the story, and talking to your friends can change the course of everything.
Don't hold grudges and tell the truth, and have courage even if something is difficult.
Yeah.
Like all these really good things.
And then my butt's itchy because I need new teepee, and it was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So kudos for the 2K to keep the message in it. That's what Revelation is missing.
Yep.
Revelation should have put the
we needed a lesson at the end of them, right?
Maybe at the very end, He-Man will come back and say.
That would be pretty.
Because that's what's coming next week here, or this week here, or whatever week we're in.
Next time we talk to you, we'll have watched Revelations.
He-Man needs to come and be
Actually, sorry, we'll have watched one episode of He-Man Revelations.
And you will soon have a single host podcast. Starring me, Mike. Hi, this is Mike. This is now the Mike Show.
Katie's been banished because she's totally went crazy.
We dropped her because she went cray-cray. I had to put her in an asylum. She's now in a straitjacket.
Nice. Yeah, sounds about right. Okay. He-Man 2K. Thumbs up.
I was wondering if you have your thumb up, and like, you do know this is a podcast, not a video cast.
I was channeling my thoughts so that I would be able to express it. You know that they should know. So now, the movie portion of the podcast.
So the other week, Disney Plus dropped a bunch of stuff. Not as much as I thought, but they did put on their Shang-Chi.
Yes.
And we really liked it, and we decided to look at it again because it was curious to see if it was just the glossy we went to the theater, if it was still as enjoyable. And
I still really, really loved it. It was still really held my attention. Lots of good action. I really liked the character development. It moved. It still had a really good pace to it. I never felt bored. It was like every single time I was like, oh, okay, well, sometimes when it's a little bit more of a lull, I'll take the advantage of like checking my phone or something like that, and I can get lost in some of that stuff. And I kept like, oh wow, there's another action. Oh, there's something else going on. Yeah. Oh, okay. So that was. And then it kind of made me stop and think, well, no, this is, I should just put this away, focus on the movie because it really is good. And there's lots of stuff going on. And I really enjoyed it. And I still felt all the different emotions of the characters. And it was fun watching it again after seeing, what happens to all the characters and then seeing different portions of it, like, from a different light, right?
Yeah.
Like at the beginning, when you hear the story and when you're seeing the story of his parents meeting, when she does grab the rings from him, they change color. And now I caught that quicker because knowing that they change color with the different powers.
Yeah.
And watching them more and watching Shang-Chi his fighting earlier on, it's even more apparent how closed fist, how angry he is.
Yeah.
His facial expression is so much more different.
Yeah.
And to see that change and being able to really recognize it earlier on in the movie was still really fun. So.
Yeah. No, all in all, I really liked it. It's one that I would definitely consider watching again because I had a lot of fun watching it. Versus some of the other ones, it was just light enough, but still had enough action and humor in it that made it very enjoyable.
Yeah.
So I highly recommend watching it. It's on Disney Plus. It's not on Premiere Plus anymore because that don't exist. So check it out. Shang-Chi. It's on Disney Plus. I really think it's worth. I'd watch it again. It's like I said last week. I think the measure of a movie would be if someone said, "Hey, you want to watch this?" and I'd say yes. I would watch that.
Yeah.
Right. So I think that's it's. For me, that is a sign of a good movie, no matter what genre. Like if you're able to say like, do you want to watch this? And I would be willing to sit down and jam with you on it. Then yeah.
Yeah.
So now we decided to do something a little different. Kind of. It's just different genre.
Well, we wanted to watch something new, and it's been something that we kind of been eyeing for a little while. And so we thought, you know what, we're just gonna. Kiddo can watch it and go from there. We've been wanting to show him some more musicals for things. And we had been looking at In the Heights for a while now, and we thought we would just jump into it and see what would happen.
So In the Heights is from Lin-Manuel Miranda. It's a movie version of his play that he had done, his first play. So the dude, if you didn't know, he's the guy that did Hamilton.
All the songs originally from him.
Yeah. So it's basically about a block in
Washington Heights.
Yeah, New York. Nuevo New York. And it's the story of a bunch of people in there, right? And
it's more it's just like a dropping into slice of life feel and seeing changes in their community, people, how they grow and change, and how some of them are moving on and other dreams. It's all about the concept of the theme of the show is all about dreams that people would have, little big dreams, everything like that, and how they all kind of interweave, and then the plight that they have as a community, being somewhat lower income, of course, and immigrants and all that sort of stuff, and it's reflecting back on that. So
yeah. I really enjoyed it for the most part. My only issue with it was it felt a little long.
Yeah.
There was like some of it moved by really fast and some of it moved by slow. And believe it or not, it wasn't the dramatic stuff or the dramatic parts that felt slow. It was actually some more of the plucky stuff that made it feel a little bit longer because the musical numbers are fairly long.
Yeah.
And some of the dance numbers are really big, which I think were
the last one was really long. That party one.
Yeah.
That one was
so as I say, like the dramatic stuff I didn't find long. It was the other ones did. But that is really my only gripe. Some of the dialogue was a little hard to understand because you have some accents in there as well, and it's also a hip hop vibe.
Yeah, the way the hip hops. Then there's also some slangs or whatnot too as well that you kind of add into it on top of the accents, and so it wasn't a problem. But I had that same issue with Hamilton.
Yeah, was
kind of getting some time to get into it and really switch your mind to say listen to the hip hop, because I think the idea of that, I think it's brilliant. People who can write songs like that, and but it just takes you a moment.
It's the quickness.
It takes you a moment to process it and get into it, and I felt that same issue. Right?
Yeah. But yeah, no, it was really enjoyable. It was really interesting to see, and it was a different view, different lens of looking at it, right? And I
like the twist at the end because the main character telling the story to this group of small children, and so he flashes back to him once in a while, and he's telling his this story of what had happened to him and his friends and family, and I like the twist at the end. Kiddo was just blown away by it. So just in case, I don't want to say anything about it because there's so much of it we can talk about that doesn't involve that. Just in case,
but there's not a lot I can really say about the movie as a whole. Besides, it was interesting. Like, it was an interesting piece of art.
Yeah.
Right. And there's some really great numbers in there, especially when there was one scene where they're going to the pool and they used extra animation for the scene as well.
Yeah.
To kind of show what was more going on within the people's imaginations.
And I like that scene too, just because, the concept of is being a movie musical opposed to a play musical. Mm-hmm. You have people doing choreography in the pool. Mm-hmm. And I thought it was just such a cool set to be able to take advantage of doing, because there was a lot of people. And to be able to have that almost synchronized people dancing in the pool like that was really interesting.
Yeah.
So
they also had a great scene where the two characters go from standing on a fire escape to dancing on the side of the building, which was really, really
that was
cool.
Seamlessly done. It really was impressive. So, and there's a lot of a lot of emotional swings in it. You have commentary on a parent trying to deal with sending his daughter to college, not having the money to do it, but she's trying to go to Stanford. So, dealing with that issue, you have, kind of basically the community grandmother, having lived a full life, but, being at the end of it, you have love, people who are in love, people who want to be in love and don't know how to talk to each other, and like all these different things. It had so many different levels of things, and all the characters they felt real only because they all had flaws and positives. Mm-hmm. They weren't extremes of anything, right? And there was a few times you're like, oh my God, dude, why'd you do that? And then you say the same thing to the girl and like, oh, what do you think you're doing? And so it was fun to see that. So,
yeah.
And it wasn't, there was a few mentions about more sex stuff that was, luckily they were speaking so fast that I wasn't too worried about with Kiddo.
No.
But it was enough to be the reality as an adult aspect to still feel very real. And and so like some of the gossip that was going on at the hair salon. And so I thought that was fun to see, though, that it still had that little bit more of an edge to it. Right?
Yeah.
So
for a PG movie, it was pretty tame.
Oh, yeah. Not like Worry, right?
But yeah, it was. I enjoyed it. It was, I enjoy musicals, especially when they're well done like that. And it was really cool to see it all flow because it's pretty seamless too. Like there's not a lot of like dramatic dialogue. It's literally like song after song after song, which is really super cool to see.
Yeah. It wasn't just like, okay, now we're going to have a song, and then we're gonna have a whole bunch of time. It was like it was more like when they were just talking was more of like the whoa, they're talking now. Yeah, exactly.
Versus singing things, right? So
that was fun.
From that, then there was a movie that I'd heard that was coming out, and I did not realize it was a Netflix movie. Mm-hmm. And it follows in the same theme of everything of this. Tick, Tick, Boom. Mm-hmm. It is another play turned into a movie. This one here was actually Lin-Manuel Miranda's first directorial debut.
Yes.
And what's wild about that is that none of this is his music, right? This is a play that was written by
Jonathan. Oh my goodness, Jonathan Larson. I don't know where Jonathan came from. That was fabulous. Right? Jonathan Larson. Yeah. It's basically an autobiography that he wrote of himself. He was the writer and creator of Rent.
Yeah, and that was his main. That was his only hit. Mm-hmm. Really, Tick, Tick, Boom is as well, but not as much because it was the one he wrote between this rock opera he was trying to write and pitch. Then he wrote Tick, Tick, Boom, and then he was able to do.
Yeah, because the Tick, Tick, Boom was about him writing his first one that he ever wrote and debuted, like the idea of going to a theater workshop. And then Rent, and unfortunately he had passed away the day it premiered, basically on like it's so and what a loss, my goodness.
Yeah.
So Andrew Garfield plays Jonathan Larson. And it was extraordinary.
It was brilliant. It was a brilliant film. Like it's on Netflix. It's highly recommended watching it.
I would watch it again in a short time period. Like it was really good.
Yeah. Like Andrew Garfield did a fantastic job with the movie because it really shows it's a different approach, different thought, because usually when you see like tortured writers and all that, they're always like on drugs or they're like they're assholes or they're and this is kind of cool because he wasn't really on drug, like never showed drug use. Like he never really was truly an asshole or mean spirited. He was just so focused on his art that he caused his problems. Yeah,
he wasn't. Right? He didn't have that same like ego where he thought it was the best thing ever.
Yeah, he was willing to take criticism. He was willing to take,
he just was very intent on making sure he took his shot.
Yeah.
He was confident in his abilities.
Yeah.
But he was very gracious still.
Yeah, and what was cool was this. So the movie kind of blends. So there's bits that aren't part of the play that are around the same time period, kind of, and they've like expanded.
Well, it was almost like because you had him performing the play, and then you find out at the end that it's actually him performing it, right? And then they even show clips of the original and everything. So it was him telling the story, but then you would get to see the scene instead of just having him tell you. You got to see the actual scene
so they expanded
done.
Those scenes.
So you had all the other characters and everything. So it was really awesome.
Yeah.
And then those within those scenes that he would explain were being done as some of them were just talking, and then some of them would be done as a musical theater, and the set would expand, and there'd be artistic embellishments and all that sort of stuff, right?
Yeah,
and,
or they just do the musical right there on the stage. That was just
the performance of it.
It was like the one man show kind of feel, right?
Yeah.
So, it was really engaging. Like it was really, really well done. A bit of a trip to learn about the musical he was trying to produce.
Right.
Suburbia. Yeah. It basically like predicted social media, like TikTok, Instagram. Like his whole idea was that of staring at digital screens and watching
and caring about the people who had the popularity of things.
Yeah.
And the best face, you winning the best face award and stuff like that, right?
Like that's what this musical is all about, which is a bit of a trip.
And being so caught up on watching other people live the high end influential people live their world. And I'm just like, oh my goodness. We're listening to this. I'm like, this would be fine if it was a new idea talking about from the past as if they had it, but knowing that this existed in 1990, him writing this, it was just like mind blowing.
So we based that off of like George Orwell stuff, right?
Which would make sense.
Yeah.
So, it's just disturbing how much we have created what used to be science fiction and dystopian. We have actually ran gleefully towards,
right?
So,
which is pretty wild. But it's well acted, well sung, like.
You can see because I myself have not seen Rent. Mm-hmm. I know bits and pieces enough of it, and then I of course was looking more about it after watching this movie. And you can this shows the life that he was living. Then you can see then why he would have written it and why he done so well. He had such a different, unique look on the world, and he really cared about making a statement and trying to change something and making something meaningful. Yeah. Right. And commentary on things. So,
that's what he was saying in the movie is how much like we're just trying to make hits after hits. And which is even funny too now when you think about it.
We're not trying to say anything, right?
Yeah. We're just trying to make hits. But no, I wouldn't be surprised if this film does garner any award nominations, because I think it was well put together and well acted.
Garfield did an amazing job. Like I'm just super impressed. And then be curious to see if there is an interest in some adaptation of his or some sort of public presentation of
Suburbia.
Then
I would assume it would probably garner some interest. I don't doubt that Lin-Manuel
Oh, he'll probably want to, yeah.
Do it because I found out that he idolizes him,
which makes sense then with In the Heights.
In the Heights,
it's very much like Rent. Feel,
yeah,
right?
yeah. The idea of like the slice of life, like
commentary on things. Yeah. Trying to speak for people and give you a lens into their world and the things that they deal with. Because say In the Heights was talking so much about, it wasn't them talking negatively even about their originating countries. It was the positives and the negatives of both places, and the reality of what they go through and everything, right? So of course with like this one, Tick Tick Boom Boom, still it was in the middle, with all the AIDS issues and that uptick, and he had many friends that were dying from HIV, and so that's that commentary, and that's why it came into Rent then as well. And,
exactly.
So it's interesting to be reminded on what horrible things were still happening even at that time period. And
I tried to find Rent to show her before we did the podcast, but it's no longer on streaming.
Yeah. So one day.
Which I thought was weird because it was on Netflix like a month ago, I think.
Right. So. Who knows? Maybe it'll show back up if this one gains not enough traction. Yeah. It'll show back up on something. So pick another streaming service. It might show up there.
Right. Who knows? But we lucked out because we actually canceled our HBO recently today. And if we had done it early, we wouldn't have been able to watch In the Heights. So we
there you go,
made a
right?
good choice. So,
but yeah, it was very well done. I would highly recommend it. I immediately recommend it to my family. Tick Tick Boom. Yeah,
totally worth checking out. Like I'd even watch it again. Just with how well it was put together because it was engaging. Like the performances were that interesting of characters.
I think my favorite scene was, so he had this one song that he was struggling to write for days. He could not figure it out, and he was super stressed because he was literally the night before the presentation and he was missing the song. And all he could do was swim. And so it's showing him swimming, and he's just trying so hard to work through all of this. And suddenly the lines in the bottom of the pool become Steph, and it's all the music, and it just suddenly it all comes to him. And I thought it was so beautifully done on how you can find inspiration on places that you might not realize, and that it all came together like that. And
that became art in that moment because he gets to the bottom and he rubs the ground. It's like sand, and he races away, and then all the chords show up, right? Yeah.
So I thought that was really awesome because it, up until then you hadn't seen him writing anything. Yeah. Because he had already had it. It was already there, and it was just this one song, and the song that he was writing was the turning point. Because Stephen Sondheim had told him, like, this is the song is the most important because it's the turning point for the character of the, are you going to go in, path A or B type thing. And it was that creation of that song in this movie was the same thing. And so it allowed him, it was the first one you'd actually seen him write. And as you say, it really was that art. You could see then how you had to lay it all together. Yeah. And it kind of also commented on his genius of it, of just instantly being able to see it all. And then the song, when it was performed, was just beautiful, beautiful lyrics and everything.
Yeah.
So
there was one scene that was like eerie though. The fight scene that they had where he did a fight in song.
Yeah.
And the only reason why I say it was eerie was because like it feels like the mouths aren't sped up, but the bodies feel like they're sped up, and they're both like puppets.
They look like puppets, yeah.
Like marionettes almost with the way they move. And it was like really kind of like creepy to watch.
Yeah. It was unnerving.
It was unnerving because they were just constant smile, but like their heads would twitch and like
it's also really real life.
Oh yeah. No, and the song is fantastic. I'm talking about just the
I know. But it was even better. It just it was such a good presentation in general because like here you are, they're smiling, but they're saying really horrible things. At the same time, you're laughing because it's really real life, but then it's like really sad because it is real life on how arguments happen.
Oh yeah.
And because they're both to blame. And it was, yeah, you're right. It was very unnerving to watch. It was weird. And so there was a lot of emotions that came out of it, right? Positive, negatives all over the place.
I'm mad at you because I'm mad at me for being mad about you and about myself, about my intimacy issues, about my inability to communicate. And
yeah, it's real
while
life.
We're mad about this, I say this to and it goes on. Like, it's like a 3-minute song, but it's like,
and you're like, oh wow,
it's so fast too, and it's just, but just they pop, like marionettes, and they just like they look like creepy dolls.
It gets worse and worse as it goes through it.
Yeah,
and it's almost showing the wind up of an argument, right?
Yeah,
because like once you start this argument, then you're just digging yourself into this hole, right?
Yeah.
Because if you're talking at each other and you have all of these different emotions and all these levels of things, nothing good comes out of it, and it just becomes this weird show, right?
Yeah.
And so so good, so good. So, go watch it.
Tick Tick Boom on Netflix original. Definitely worth your time. So next week, He-Man Revelations Part 2. Love it or hate it.
Episode 1.
It's happening.
I can't stop.
It's like her own running joke. She's the only one that thinks this is funny.
I crack myself up.
You know, then fine, I'll do it. I'll do one episode on Tuesday, and I'll turn it off and tell her to go to bed.
I already
7 o'clock
today. I already told him, I was like, guess what? We're watching the He-Man Revelations movie this week. So I've already called it. So I'll stop laughing at my own joke.
Then Hawkeye. First 2 episodes drop. I am beyond excited for this.
Mm-hmm.
Because Hawkeye is one of my favorite characters in the Marvel comic universe. Not so much the MCU, but we're going to see how, if Clint Barton gets a bit more redemption.
Yeah.
But we finally get to see Kate Bishop, which will be exciting to see because it does look like it's going to be the Matt Fraction run, which is an amazing run in the comics.
Well, and overall, the Marvel shows have been good, so I'm excited to see it.
Yeah, so. And it leads up to the holiday splendor that is the Christmas season, and we have a Hallmark original on the PVR ready to watch.
Yeah, we're going to break into Hallmark.
Yeah, and there is a reason the chin is in it. So, that's
oh my goodness, Christmas already starts next weekend.
That's right.
Thanksgiving's on Thursday, because we celebrate both Thanksgivings here in our town, or in our family, in our family, because why not? And I even took Friday off. I'm very excited. Mm-hmm. So it'll be good, and we're gonna dig into the holiday spirit,
Christmas. But yeah, we got a lot of fun things coming in the next little while. So
thanks for joining us, everyone. Have a wonderful night.
And remember, stay rad, dudes.